Hello and welcome back to Mzansi. We are back again. It is that time of the night where we have to say something because there are a lot of things that are happening. And listen, the case might be on the break. there is a lot of backroom noise that is currently happening with regards to the very same case, and other people, other stakeholders who are interested in the case who are talking, such as currently SFISO has been interviewed and some other analysts that have been interviewed talking about Senzo. There are worrying things that we might be able maybe to point out when it comes to certain people. In my opinion, people that we credibly trust, seemingly they are toning it down, if one might say it like that. So, Emily, how are you doing?
I'm good. Hi guys, welcome back to the Mzansi Reality YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us here again for another deliberation analysis of the situation that's going on. Speaking of which, yes, there are people who are kind of toning it down when it comes to really speaking the truth and really speaking the fact. Now it seems like people are doing a 360 and we're not used to them commenting like that, in my opinion. Analyzing,
being reserved,
yes.
Not being themselves. They are being reserved. One can rather say they are careful. Well, interestingly, Emily, write this down. Because, or let me write this down so that we don't speak about it here, because we're still gonna say something.
All right.
This one is something worth to look at and perhaps say something about. I'm gonna try by all means to stay away from it. But let us talk about what happened with the interview that took place in Newsroom Africa. Yes. Rather, the panel was full of people that could have said mouthful, but
carefully.
Yeah, I think they were trading careful, and there are many things that we can look at maybe and say, because we are observers, we are sitting and we are watching. You know, when you say this is right, we will hold you into that and say, you said this is right. Why are you now deviating from that? You know, why are you all of a sudden being this understanding person who seems to be not understanding what is currently going on with the case, right? Now, Emily, let me give you the platform.
Yeah, guys, we watched that interview. Mr. Anonymous, we do have a clip of what Senzo Meyiwa was saying. I don't know whether we should begin with it or what, but in summary, Senzo Meyiwa still maintains his aspersions, his opinions, his facts about the case. He hasn't changed his mind despite what has just happened with Advocate Ngomezulu passing away. And he is very much emotional and upset because right now it seems like everybody is trying to make him look like the crazy one, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It looks like a 360 is now trying or attempting to be done. Even the invitation of him to the media, because all along they have been ignoring him and not wanting to attend to these strong allegations that haven't changed since 2020 when these people were arrested. That's when I first heard of him talking about how some police officer stole dockets.
He couldn't at some point say the names.
My apologies. Stole statements from dockets. And he has never changed his story. He has never changed anything about it. To this day, he still maintains what he said back in 2020 when these people were first arrested, the 5 accused. He hasn't changed his story. And over again, they keep interviewing him. I don't know, maybe they're hoping that maybe his opinion is different. It's not. And it's
he
not
keeps on
changing.
saying what he needs to say.
Yes.
Right. Let us hear. I'm not sure if the settings were done properly, but let's hear.
Start with hearing the perspective
guys
of
hear?
the
Can you
family.
hear?
SFISO, good evening to you. Thank you. Start with hearing the perspective of the family. SFISO, good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. And I know that it must be quite exhausting to have these conversations for a decade and still no sort of justice for your brother. But I want to start with this. 2024, do you think that the family feels that there's a sense that this year, 10 years on, you got closer to getting answers as to what happened to your brother?
Yeah, being LL. Greetings to everyone.
Good greetings, sir.
About this case, sikude kakhulu ukuthola iqiniso. As long as there are those 5 accused in court, those people, the state, Kinenda and Baloy, they are just playing with us. They are playing with our mind. There's no justice we're going to get. It's like a case is about those 5 accused. Those guys are innocent. As long as they are still there, they are still playing. We want the right people to be arrested.
And who are the right people in your view, SFISO?
Everyone was in the house for lying. One of them for shooting Senzo. Because one of the people and all of them, they lied, covering up.
Yeah, just from there. From the beginning, he's saying, as long as those people, meaning the 5 accused,
Yes.
are still there on the stand, we will never find the truth. Because this is basically, in a sense, a waste of time, an exercise that is being used to cover up consistency. He's not changing his mind. He's not feeling otherwise. He's not flipping in what he believes in. And this is, I must say, from just listening to him, the emotions of someone who really is feeling really hard done by these police and everyone else who he claims is involved. He is saying people who are in the house, who were in the house at the time, people who are hiding the truth, according to him, and number 2, the shooter is among those people
Who were inside the house.
Emily, would you disagree with that? On the basis of this evidence, forget about how this evidence has been relayed, but with that in mind, would you disagree? And if you would, why? If you would not, why?
I would only disagree if I wasn't thoroughly following the details of the case, especially the unpacking of evidence. I would disagree. I would say, if I wasn't paying attention to the trial, word for word, minute for minute, detail for detail. But since I follow the trial, I'm more inclined to believe what he's saying than what I'm trying, or what is being tried upon me believing, especially by the state. I don't believe the state. Their
Just the
case is not. It doesn't have substance right now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just a follow-up, just to make things easier and maybe granular for someone who's new here. There are people who are saying, according to the states, that there were people who ran out of the house.
Yes.
They mentioned 3.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
They mentioned 3. But from the people who were in the house, we now know that there was Twala, Mthosi Twala, who ran. It's not clear whether he jumped the fence or
jumped the wall.
or he jumped the wall, meaning he went out of the gate of the Khumalos and jumped the wall jumped the gate of the neighbors, or he just went straight to jump the wall to the next door. His version is that
he jumped to the small gate. He
Yes.
went outside of the yard
where
past
there could have
by
been
that
people,
danger box.
where there could have been people who were standing there,
Yes.
if the confessions are anything to go by,
Yes.
if they were not coerced, if they were not confessions that were made by force, according to the accused, who say, we never made them freely, we were never there, but then we were beaten to confess and say that we were there. According to confession JJ and HH, there should have been someone that is Ndanzi. Forget about the one who's also talking about people who are not even here. There should have been someone who was standing in the gate. But now Mtogo, with his version now, he's saying
He ran.
he ran through that person, and there is
Past
someone,
those people.
yes, and there is someone who was chasing him,
One
if I'm not
person.
mistaken.
Yes.
So there was someone who was
One
standing
person
outside,
was chasing him.
according to the confessions, and then there was someone who was chasing him from the house. And that could be, if you ask me, according to the definition and explanation, it could have been dance.
Yes, the second intro, the
Yes.
second suspect.
The person who was standing outside could have been Mapisa,
Yes,
according to the confession.
as well as Muzi.
Yes, as well as
number
Moose.
one.
Yes. Those are the people who were standing
So
outside,
Mthokozi
just on the watch
Sitwala
out,
ran past those people.
being chased by someone who's coming from the house. Well, he was able to escape all those people.
Yes.
Let us forget about that. But the first one who stood up is Longwe Twala. And he pushed everyone. And luckily for him, he was never chased out by anyone.
He was able to run.
He was able to run, and he passed through these people who were in the yard, as same as the brother, Thokozi Sitwala.
Yeah.
You know, passed. The only difference between them is that the other one ran to the neighbors, the other one ran to find help, called the police, which he never called because he could have left his phone inside the house again. That's a theory that is giving to us on the basis of what we are hearing on the radios, on the basis on the interviews and all that.
Yes.
He could have had the phone, he could have left the phone inside the house. That is him saying that, as one person contradicting himself. Okay, so then we have these witnesses who were bystanders. And let us not forget to remind you, according to the runners that we have mentioned, there was no one on the street. But according to now the standing people who were there, Bo Mtabseng Mugeti, Makeleni, Spiwe, they saw these three people running. But Ulonge went out looking for help. He couldn't find help because he didn't come across anyone. The street were empty. There was nothing happening on the street.
Yes.
So, on the basis of what SFISO is saying, we are just laying the basis of what has been delivered in that court without looking at the side. You make your judgment. That's all we can say. Make your own judgment. You know, whether there were people in the street, whether there were no people on the street, whether Mthokozi jumped the wall, as the Ngashes are saying, whether Mthokozi, no, he actually went out of the KHUMALO's gate, went past the people who were standing as the accused, number 2, as alleged confession, and he went to jump the small gate of the neighbors. Yes, there is one thing that is common about what Mthokozi did. Indeed, he found himself on the yard of the neighbors.
Yes.
The neighbors are saying, no, we were looking through the window. We saw this guy jumping. And if you look at that house, how it's standing? Indeed, the window is not facing the other side. It is facing the KHUMALOs, the window that they could have been talking about. So that would mean that Mthokozi jumped the wall from the KHUMALOs yard to the other side.
But of course, Ubaba Ngache is not.
But of course,
in the
Ubaba
court
Ngache is
to
not
tell
here to relay
that version
the whole
because he
story.
passed on.
We obviously know that the son came to relay the story. The
But
son
the
also
son
came with his
relayed his own
assertion
version,
to
yes.
say that when he came in a sense, he saw a lifeless body by saying the body was just laying there. He was not then allowed to comment on that further, which we understand the law prescribes. Right. I'm just giving you a summary of the confusions that we have as a public opinion. And people saying, no, you guys, the court does not work like that. These are the confusions that the court sits with. If the court is careful to actually even understand what is currently happening.
And of course, there's more. We're just brushing
the
surface. And Gininda and Baloy, he says, are just playing with our minds. And I felt that because going through Brigadier Gininda's evidence, it has been a nightmare.
It is.
I feel played. I honestly feel played. I feel like there were no investigations that were done. All he did was just read the docket and try and find things that will support the version that he believed in, which is there were intruders in that house, which is a version he was not willing to let go of.
Yes.
It's a version that he wasn't even willing to consider that the people in the house had something to do with what happened. He didn't even look at them. Instead, he treated them like kings and queens, the untouchables. He didn't even ask them questions. He didn't even do any of that thing. He just looked for the people from the house who were going to collaborate his version of events that there were intruders. Your Zandi KHUMALO, even Thokozisi Twala as well as Tumelo Madlala, they are of the version that there were intruders, of course, and they supported that, and Brigadier Kinida just went along. And then out of nowhere, someone else pops up in 2018. Out of nowhere, he goes to the commissioner and says, I know these people who did this crime.
Right. Molif, thank you for upgrading to that position, or in fact renewing. I'm not sure. I'm sorry for that, but thank you. We appreciate this. Right. Let us continue relaying the story as it is. We are just...
Yes, but honestly, I feel played as well. I feel like my mind has been played with listening to what has been happening in that court. But let's listen to him.
Do you believe that Senzo, you still believe that Senzo was shot by one of the 5 people that were in that house on that day?
I'm 100% sure. Gininda knows that, but he's lying. Mbalo knows that and he's lying too.
Who do you think it is that shot him?
I won't say that because we've got witnesses who are still going to come to court and testify. But I'm 100% sure. Even the past Muslims will reveal a lot of... But because they knew Mgomezu was going to expose the state, they decided to kill him.
Why do you say that...
I like how the presenter shy away from that. We are not going to dwell that much on it also. But in a sense, he is saying before Mgomezu was killed, that is number one, he believes that Mgomezu was killed. It is not something maybe of natural death. Is that what I'm getting? But one thing for sure, he stays in what he believes in with regards to the case. He won't mention the name. There were allegations that the shooter was in the house, and there were allegations that that shooter might have shot himself or something like that on his foot, right?
Yes.
Yes. So those allegations that prompted the investigators to go and fetch the gun of one of the people who were in the house and sort of check that gun. You know, those are allegations that cause the situation or made the situation to reach that level.
Yes.
You know, it is not ours to give you who is that. I think if you've been following the case, it is within your mind and your rights to actually find out who that could be, or your speculations. You could be doing your speculations, as we always do speculations, and speculations are just speculations, and that's it.
And I don't know what to say. I'm actually speechless and flabbergasted by what he just said. It's shocking, but at the same time, I don't know what to believe anymore.
Yeah.
Because one thing is for sure, Mngomezulu was going for the jugular, in my opinion.
Indeed, we all felt. That's why the feeling, the passing of Mngomezulu, it is rather felt by those who mostly believe that this case that we are currently facing of the 5 accused is rather a waste of time and perhaps a fabrication, as SFISO would put it. And other lawyers have come to say that.
Yes.
And Mngomezulu was going for a jugular. One might even argue further to say even Tifo was going for a jugular.
Yes,
those are things
from
that
the very beginning,
from the very
we didn't
beginning
want to waste time with this case. That was the feeling that Advocate Tifo was always vehemently persistent on. And provided that he was doing pro bono for all the 4 accused at the time, he saw no need to be dragging this. And now that we are in it a year later, we can kind of see he had a point. He was right. There was no need to be dragging this case for this long.
Yes.
Because honestly, it's not going anywhere, very slowly.
And what one might feel have been done to Tifo in terms of debunking.
Yes.
And one must mention it. In my feeling at some point, I felt like some of these analysts were really shooting down whatever Tifo was saying, which is now worrying as we are going to go further to find some bit of easiness happening currently. It's very worrying when you see it, because that's how, in my opinion, or that's how I feel Tifo's problem started. Media. And how media was portraying everything. It is very important to listen to our media, but also listen with a bit of understanding.
And I also cannot get over, how Mngomezulu brought up the shooting incident and then brought up the name of a doctor and how that doctor was hunted down from hospitals.
Yes, to sort of solicitate what they call a confession or whatsoever it is. But those are things that are there, guys. Those are things that we want you to understand as we go on with this.
And how he was asked also to know which witnesses he'll be bringing.
They kept on probing on that. Even the judge kept on probing on the witnesses. I guess the law accept and allow that. There's nothing we can do, as some analysts would put it. The law allows that. When can the law be called into order, or when can the law be a fool?
This law feels like a game.
It's a game. It's a chess game. It does not. Sometimes it does feel like once the law is being cited, it feels like, okay, the law says this. It's a game. It does not matter. Let me say, the law is not adjustable. It cannot adjust, and that's a problem, because we are living in a world where things are changing,
forever changing. But
we have law that is rigid. It does not change. It's fixed. It's like when they say in economics, ceteris everything constant. That's how the law is. Ceteris paribus is everything is constant. When everything changes with us, but everything with the law is constant. And that is the problem. That is the problem. So we will find ourselves having such cases week in, week out.
They decide to explain, the legal professionals and practitioners, how they choose to explain this thing of the law as well, saying that it's almost like they are portraying, to me as a member of the public and as a layman, all I'm hearing is the best manipulator of the law wins the game.
Exactly. You know, please press that like button, guys. I'm back with that. Please press that like button. It's 300 of us who are here listening attentively to all this. But just disturb yourself a bit by pressing that like button, and we will talk more as we continue. If you do that without any disturbance.
Is the best manipulator,
wins the
game. Best trickster, the best, one would say, liar, or even take it a further notch and say the best narcissist wins this game.
Yes.
So I don't like how they are interpreting.
Yeah, that is in a nutshell how I feel the law is. That's why the very same law can actually exonerate a person on the basis that it was unlawfully done. You know, so someone can just dwell on that. Whether you did a crime or not, it does not matter. And that is the war that we should have, because if you did the crime and something was done unlawfully, then there should be a remedy for that. To say, okay, you did this crime, but this was done unlawfully.
Yes.
You know, there should be a remedy for that. Not to say correcting the law. Perhaps if you were going to, for example, serve 20 years, maybe 15 years, and then we penalize the police that did that, because now you have minus that 5 years that a person could have served. Yes. I'm just making an example. This is just something I'm thinking out of my head. I'm not saying it could be correct.
Can you please highlight that comment from Vusutando, which is interesting?
Okay. I've always believed that the law is not about the truth. It is about what you can prove. Yes. That's what most people say. I used to
believe that as well, but I feel like we as the lay persons are given a different interpretation of what the law is, while the practitioners have a different perception and idea of what they need to do to win their cases. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like a different strokes for different folks type of vibe. I used to believe it's about what you can prove, but now we are sitting in that court and we are asking, where's the evidence? And the evidence is not evidencing, and we're just flowing with it. We're just going along. You know, I feel like I'm the crazy one at this point. Because I feel like, why is this even on trial? It feels like an investigation is being done while it's on trial. Things are popping up out of nowhere.
Yeah, they did say that the investigation is not closed.
But does that give you a right to formulate a whole case while the case is still ongoing? Is that what it means?
I guess so.
It's so confusing, you guys. It's very confusing. There's a lot going on with this case that is honestly, in my opinion, unfair. And it just feels like we are being taken for a ride, but we must just ride along because it's the law, and the law is the law, and we must respect it. We must do whatever we can to just bear with the law. You know, I just feel so played. I feel played. Like, I honestly thought that the state had a case. That's my opinion at the beginning. And I didn't even want to find myself in a position where, because there were aspersions and accusations, and a lot of people were saying that these people do not look like the people that did it, based on what the Twitter account Men's Not Bediriru was revealing back in 2018, based on also what the people from the Meyiwa family or SFISO Meyiwa were saying at the time, that these people, there's no way these people were there on October 26th and they did this crime, and they went and they killed Senzo Meyiwa like that with around 7 people in the house. And they couldn't even identify them at the beginning when they first popped up. I did not hear even one word, even from Miss Popola herself, to say that, yes, those people are the ones, or no, they are not. Just quiet. And now she pops up as the trial is ongoing, and she has all these various opinions and various perceptions. It's almost like she's trying to sway the public to believe what she wants the public to believe. It's all crazy. And I cannot get used to it. Every time I'm flabbergasted, every time I'm shocked, every time I'm traumatized. And I can only imagine what this Meyiwa family is going through. This is so unfair. This is so unfair, unjust, and uncalled for. It's honestly unfair to that family. I cannot believe that we are at this point. And in my opinion, honestly, I feel like the state's case is very, very weak. But we are going along with it for the sake of going along with it, because what choice do we have? The law is the law, and the best practitioner of the law is able to get away with a lot. I can see that. I can see that the best practitioner is able to get away with a hell of a lot.
Right, let's continue.
Linda's lying, Mr. Meyiwa. I mean, this is the testimony that we heard over the past few weeks, if you will, from Gininda. Many have said is explosive, and you say the brigadier is lying. Why?
Hey, that man is a liar. He's an expert in lies. Even those Section 205, it's fabricated. That man Gininda, he stole a statement from Sipo Shop. That statement was saying that Senzo was shot by mistake. Even me, myself, they told me that Senzo has been shot. They didn't say that suspect came inside his house and shot him. I asked them, what happened? They said, no, he's lying. They didn't say some suspect came inside the house and shot.
Yeah. Guys, sorry. Sorry about that. We have a third host today. We have a third host. He just won't give us a break. But yeah, like what we just listened to, to me, what flabbergasts me every time, hearing the reporter there saying that there's explosive evidence. Kabang. What explosive evidence is she talking about? Do they mean those phone calls that are said to be between accused number 5 and KHUMALO? Do they mean the DNA that is 2% that is forced to be a match that is said to belong to accused number 4? Is that what they are talking about? Is that what they're talking about as meaning explosive evidence? Kukhulunywa ngani? Am I the crazy one?
Yeah.
What explosive evidence are they talking about?
But did you hear that part where SFISO says, even me, I was told otherwise?
There's a part where SFISO is actually saying that even he was told otherwise. He was told that the people in the house, one of them is the one who killed Senzo. He was never told about this whole thing of people coming from outside and whatnot. And this is him narrating as far back, as close to the incident as when he found out about what had happened to his brother. He was never told that people came in from the outside and they shot Senzo. That's not what he was told. He was told that one of the people, one of the persons that were in the house are the ones who are responsible for what happened. Of course, Advocate Baloyi came with a statement from from Mr. Khoza, Dr. Khoza, to say that that is not true. He did not tell SFISO that the person who killed Senzo was one of the people inside the house, because SFISO had alleged that it was him.
And let's look at how some of these things are even surprisingly a coincidence that could happen of people who do not know each other. Let's say, for argument's sake, well, Usbarga SFISO they are close, they are family.
Yes, Mr. Slope.
They are all saying the same thing from different people. Okay, we agree. But what of the assertion that was put by, or the claim that was made by the alleged Ngashe, that there was no intruder there, right?
Yes.
There is that narrative.
Yes.
So this is now a third person outside the family. Unfortunately, didn't make it to court.
No, he did not.
God decided otherwise, because God always decides otherwise. And you can even feel for this case, it's even hard, because I think God is really against this case. I mean, God is really against this case. Most of the time when people that we expect for them to come or to do something about the case or prove otherwise or say something contrary to what is being narrated, God remembers them. I mean, the power, if it's God, I don't want to say it's God, if it's God that remembers it, but the pattern that we are seeing, it's really surprising that some things like that could happen, because we only need one person. Ngome Zulu was adamant he is going to make sure that he proves otherwise. God remembers him. Therefore, he was also adamant that he's going to prove otherwise. And then God decided maybe that, therefore, it's your time now. There's a warrant of arrest that has been issued long time ago. It's the right time.
And then they didn't even get him to get bail. It was all weird.
it's and then the Ngashe, they're all gone. Your Ndlovus, they're all gone. There are many, even the people that say we saw these people running out of their house. They didn't make it to court. They just made it through their statement. Fortunately, theirs was read fully without any disturbance. Unfortunately, the Ngashe father, that one was something that was very much contested in that court.
Even Mr. Lopez, it was blocked a couple of times from being read in court. The first time Advocate Mshololo brought it to the forefront, it was before De Novo. And then they found a way. They said that it was hearsay, something like that. And then now she just found another one at 366. One would also ask, where was it initially when she read the one from 375? And
yes.
they're telling us, no, it has always been there in that docket. Has it? Then how couldn't she use that one instead? And
then opted to use 375. Those are the questions that are there. But who's going to answer them? No one knows. I'm just saying, it's amazing how this earth works. It's something that we really, but imbewe enhle ke vela kayihlali isitshe sishadleli ngesiZulu sisho njalo, where we say those people who are really humble and perhaps who might perceive them as honest, they don't live long. That's basically a nutshell of what I just said in Zulu. Emily, let's continue.
Kirinda knows that. He stole a statement because he was covering up.
What do you say to the assertion, Mr. Meyiwa, that your brother 10 years ago was possibly killed as part of a hit that was planned? Do you believe that a hit was put out on your brother?
There's no hit. Those are all lies. Even that lady from Vodacom, she proved that there was no calls. Now they are lying. They're saying WhatsApp calls. They're just making up stories. They're lying. There's nothing that placed those guys on scene. They said it was found there. That's it. You know what the evidence? The DNA of the head. Hey, Jesus Christ! It came up. It showed. Hey, Jesus! And I'm not sure. No, I mustn't say this for now. But the DNA of the head. Iveza omunye umuntu banamanga untanzi bathi wayifaka icontrol kwayiwa kudokotela went to the doctor and the doctor proved that untanzi akaze alifaka izinyo ayikho into babeka ku-crime scene labantu kwathiwa benza ama-confessions bashawa benzusa ama-confessions ayikho yonke lento
Because
Right. So let us just take it out there where SFISO couldn't speak. He couldn't.
Jesus Christ.
He kept on saying Jesus Christ.
It's the DNA of the head.
It's a DNA. So the DNA, apparently, from what I'm gathering, is that whatever that was given, there is half of what could have been tested. Do you get me? That's basically what I got there. He's saying he wanted to say the DNA showed
So and so.
so and so, a woman, and then he quickly held himself back.
Because they did say that the head, initially the reports were like there was a mixture of a male and a female DNA.
Yes, yes.
That was the initial reports. But in that
So
court,
it's
it's accused number 4 is 2% DNA. Or the not striations, the regions. It's how many of them? 4 out of 16. So by the way, 16 have to be a match for it to be a match. 16 regions have to match, but in that court, even if it's 4, it means there's some kind of a link that you were there. That's your DNA. It means that it even changed from not being a match to being inconclusive.
Inconclusive, yes.
So, yeah.
And the judge and Guinean and everyone else who's on the state side. So,
Yeah.
do we think he is emotional?
Yes.
If you see things that are changing, no, in a sense that he's saying these things, is he saying them because he's emotional? Maybe he's not himself. From what I'm gathering, he's putting points. He's saying this is the case. And we are also
But
saying at some point,
emotional does not mean that
we
you're
are
not telling the truth.
we are saying at some point, no, you don't get it.
Okay.
You don't get me. I'm saying the emotions part. One can say, I said that because I was emotionally, I was angry. I wanted something.
Oh, you mean it in that
Yeah, I
context?
mean it in that
No.
context.
No.
Is he saying this because, because what we are trying to put here, what we are trying to make clear here is that a simple thing like a DNA that was excluding these people now has been made to be inconclusive, from excluding to inconclusive. Perhaps one can look at that and say, he's got a point in saying that DNA has something in it. There is nothing that puts these people in their house. Yes, we agree on that. There is nothing that puts them in their house except in the mind, from the mind of a judge. And I want you to hold on that inconclusive part. We have hammered on it several times. It started with a judge.
Yes.
It started with a judge. We have hammered on it for several times that this inconclusive, it was excluding that moved and changed because the judge, I don't know who was from the defense, who was, whether Ramsipile or it was Ramsipile who was honest, cross-examining. And then the judge started now saying inconclusive. That's what he read according to him. Those are things that are there.
Yes.
And why I'm hammering on this, and I want you to hold on to it, it is because we are going to now go at some point, once we're done with this, and then close maybe with the analyst. Why we are hammering on this. let's continue.
Mr. Meyiwa, there's been a lot of talk about the cell phone data. I mean, for instance, we heard from the Vodacom forensic expert that a SIM swap was done on your brother's phone the day after he died. I'm keen to hear whether you believe that. Do you believe that there is, there's been testimony as well about a trail of some communication between Senzo's former girlfriend, KHUMALO, allegedly with some of the accused. I mean, do you believe that?
No, I don't believe that. Even the lady from Vodacom, she proved that Senzo, that call that they saying Senzo, that call that they are saying Kelly made talking with one of the accused. She proved that one of the calls she was talking to Senzo, but they removed Senzo's number and put another number.
And what about the fact that from those that were in the house?
She proved that it was what? Senzo's number, and they put another number.
Yes, he's saying that the number that is said to have called one of the accused, which is Kelly's number, they removed Senzo's number because it was actually a phone call between Kelly and Senzo, and they replaced it with whatever number, and now they're
from the downloads, and then later they changed into
it's a WhatsApp.
It's a WhatsApp because initially it was
Internet
section
call.
205
Yes,
saying
it was on the Excel sheet of
the so-called section 205. Yes. So I hear you, Metu Mhlanga, when you are saying the judge said he cannot convict on the basis of 4 regions, and I agree with you. But here's the problem. And I also want you to actually look at where we are going with inconclusive and excluding. In DNA, that's not law, that's DNA. We're talking DNA, they're talking science. We're not talking law, which is chess game. We're talking now DNA. DNA, we have 3 scenarios. We have exclusions, we have inclusions, and then we have inconclusive. Inconclusive is when you cannot detect whether or not. Get me there. The judge, by saying this, was not saying, I'm not going to convict these people. He's saying, you cannot convict on that alone. You cannot convict, you cannot decide to say, okay, because it's inconclusive, the reason why I am taking you to jail forever is because it said inconclusive. But you can, on the basis of there is a ballistic here that says these people were 1, 2, 3, and then there is a DNA that says inconclusive. So this DNA does not remove these people, or it does not exonerate these people. It does not put these people in a crime scene. So on the basis of that, on the circumstantial evidence, then you can, on the basis of that, say these people are guilty because there is a bullet that we are relying on, and the witnesses that keep on saying, I saw this, I saw that, I saw that, I saw, it's not clear, but there is a bit of, and based on this case, if you look at this case is not going to be, in my opinion, and I'm saying this, I could be wrong, it's not going to be judged on the basis of the evidence being proven beyond reasonable doubt. It's going to be based on certain circumstances. Yes. And then from there,
it's circumstantial evidence.
The main thing that is going to be made noise about is a bullet.
Yes.
And that bullet issue that we looked at, the evidence that was open. Yes. Open, that I can foresee it being overlooked.
And you also have to pay attention to the demeanor of the judge.
Why would the judge be still writing all the time
there's
when
something
is not
circumstantially evidence against the accused or what he perceives it to be? It doesn't matter whether there's nothing there. He will always have this keen interest
and
to
be asking
find
the so-called clarifying question.
Yes, you must pay attention.
If he's saying he's not gonna take these people to jail for such, why is he not stopping this 4-region thing? Why is he even supporting it? Why is he fighting with Mshololo who was dealing KHUMALO when he was dealing with it? Yeah.
And
why is he fighting with that? I'm not gonna judge on that, but yeah, I'm gonna fight on it. Just for the fun of it, I'm gonna fight on it. Why? In all honesty, I mean, we are trying to understand the judge here.
Yeah.
The judge is saying, that is not evidence in court. That is not the evidence that I would actually take a decision on. No. But when someone is saying exclusion, something that was said by an expert, why then are you so adamant to fight and say, hey, yeah, 4 regions, they are different from the whole. That's what he said. He said, yes. 4 regions. Yes, the guy is saying 4. Why would you do that? Why won't you let this be an exclusion as it was?
As it was, as the DNA expert had testified that it's not a match, but you want it to be inconclusive. Why?
Why is it so much important that it becomes inconclusive, overwriting what was said from the record, what was said by the expert? You are overwriting it. You are saying inconclusive, which is a DNA word that is used for certain DNA evidence. This is not just something that you can use interchangeable with exclusion. No, it's an independent word in that faculty that is used for a DNA that is not clear or no sufficient DNA regions for me to conclude. There are many reasons. We can read again what is inconclusive. Inconclusive does not say exclude. It means there's no sufficient DNA for me to conclude.
To conclude, yes, that's what it means.
Was that what the expert said? Did the expert say there is no sufficient DNA?
No, he did not say that. He said it's not a match.
So I'm not a medical person, but after reading, because when you read, you see, and then you ask yourself, why is the judge Gelez Gantwe?
And another thing that we must also ask ourselves as the court of public opinion is this. With the cell phone evidence, this judge who's always seeking understanding, I'm asking for my understanding. He's not asking the lead investigator. He never asked the cell phone analyst to host Nomo Stain whether about this internet call. It's almost as if he understands it. He's just letting it, be. It's just he's always seeking clarity, right? Why is he not seeking clarity on what kind of a phone call are they talking about, and how did they come to the conclusion that that was a phone call?
No, it's not
by
seeking
looking
clarity.
At data usage.
It's okay. Let it slide. This one, it's fine. We're not going to be asking about it.
Why is he not seeking clarity there?
Someone says it could have been WhatsApp that did not exist
in 2014.
He's not probing on that.
No, he's not seeking clarity there.
All that he cares about is that there was a call.
Yeah. And to him, he believes there was a call.
In my opinion. Yes, in our opinion.
He's saying that there's a call. The cell phone expert is saying there was a call. So to the judge, the interpretation is there was a call. And I would not be shocked if it's read in his final judgment that there was a call. I wouldn't be surprised because he's not
in a sense, one can conclude
on
that
what kind of a phone call are
on
these
a
people
basis
talking about.
they're saying it's an internet call on the basis that this call cannot be explained.
No,
the source of this call cannot be explained.
No.
We can conclude that there was never a call.
Yes, and then during arguments, they must emphasize and hammer on this, the defense.
We can conclude that there was never a call.
What kind of a call?
But let me tell you what, Baloyi would have guts to stand up and say, because these witnesses,
they leave stuff hanging.
These witnesses are so they are so, for me, dangerous. They leave stuff hanging.
Yes.
Even if they don't know. You know, we can safely say Stein did not know where that call comes from. Because he talked about BBM needed something. They talk about WhatsApp. WhatsApp did not exist at that time as a call. So what exactly was he talking about? He left those two things there. They are there on the record. Baloyi, in his argument, he'll be using that. And best believe, Baloyi, in his argument, he will be using the inconclusive DNA.
DNA as well, yes.
Do you understand?
Yes.
He will be talking about 4 regions.
Yes.
And then
acting all brand new, like
yes.
he's not an experienced a prosecutor.
So we cannot ignore that this case, in its nature, is a hogwash case. If you ask me, it has that hogwash elements. If you ask me, it's my opinion. It has a hogwash element.
We are being led to believe.
But we are being led to believe that this law that has been constant in one way or another, not changing for many years, is going to be able to decipher with ease these issues that we are discussing here and then come to conclusion that these people are not guilty.
Already the media is saying there's explosive evidence. What explosive evidence? Which one is explosive evidence thus far?
So we cannot ignore these things, Emil. There's no explosive evidence. I'm telling you, if you ask me, there's nothing that points to these people. The desperation is such that people would read 4 regions from the expert and change everything and talk a different language. That's a desperation. But let's continue.
There certainly was a testimony around, for instance, KHUMALO, your brother's former girlfriend, the many cell phone numbers that she did have that were not initially declared to investigators, allegedly. What do you make of that? Do you think that is evidence that is not consequential?
They're just making it up.
What do you want to see? What do you want to see? Because, you know, the case will proceed again in January. For you to say that 2025 is a year that shows some light for the Meyiwa family, what is it that you want to see?
I want to see those 5 guys being released. Even Baloyi, I don't want Baloyi there because Baloyi is working with Kininda. You know, let me tell you something. There are some people who were with the authority from Baloyi. Those people were called to come to court, to the magistrate. I know 2 of them, to do a confession that they killed Senzo. And those 2 guys I'm talking about, they are not amongst those 5. Baloyi knows that. He knows that. They are playing with you. They are just lying for but Kambela is South Africa manga. Bana manga labantu. Ba benza ba confession. Laba bangekho. Omunye bambiza bathi wayihamba no accused number 3. Wathi lo muntu angimazi accused number 3. Angimazi nokumazi bamkhomba ngesibhamu bathi bazomdubula. Wathi lo muntu angimazi lo muntu. Ngathi asivula icala kulo muntu wathi asaba. Hayibo. Hey, badlala ngani labantu? Labantu lying. Kininda is a liar. Baloyi is a liar. He lied in front of the court of law. What you talk case 375 akawazi wawazi angazi nini eKambamanga ebe wawunikezwa wahlala kena more than 6 months eKambamanga.
Okay. Mr. Meyiwa, I want to release you, but I think one last question. How's the family dealing? I mean, when you speak to your siblings, your mother about, you know, what has transpired over 2024, does the family feel that they're getting closer? What's the feeling like in the family? Because I can imagine also the exhaustion of this, watching the trial as it unfolds, the expectation that should I be in court, and difficult because your lives must also continue and you cannot necessarily sit in the courtrooms. Talk to me about the difficulty that the family goes through watching all of this unfold.
It's very difficult, especially to my mother. She has decided not to watch the case at all. She doesn't watch it. To Senzo's kids, it's very difficult because the insurance did not pay because the case is still in court. One of Senzo's kids, Mandisa's daughter, she's in a special school. She's paying a lot of money there, but her daddy's money is not paid. It's difficult, especially for the kids.
Yeah.
Okay. The first interesting part is that such information as, SFISO keeps on referring to that, those two people that confessed, that were supposed to confess, on the mandate from and the mandate from Baloyi. They did confess, as it is alleged, right?
Yes.
Why is not that part of this case? Because it is within this case, right? 636.
Yes.
Why is it not part of this case?
Where are they?
Where are those people? It would be actually nice to bring those people if they are still alive.
Previously, of a one who was taken to the magistrate in
KZN?
Yes. With Brigadier Kininda, and that magistrate threw it out and said no ways.
The SFISO said that, right?
Yes.
Yes. So where are those people?
What happened to that? What happened to that? It's not being mentioned. Now we are finding out there's two people who
to solidify their case. The defense needs to, if they are still alive, because God remembers people. Please press that like button, guys. If you really missed us, press that like button. We are here.
They are still alive.
So, and the very painful thing is that the insurance has not paid.
Yes, the insurance Senzo's insurance has not yet paid out. I'm sure they're waiting for the.
Imagine the prolonging of this case is not only making
years.
them suffer emotional, financially. They could have done something for Senzo's kids up to this point. It's 10 years?
In 10 years. It's been 10 years. They've been waiting for their father's money. It can't be released because this trial is ongoing. This case has not concluded. And they were perhaps hopeful that it would, as soon as it was announced that they'd found the people that are responsible. But now, looking at the events that are unfolding in the case, it looks like...
You know what? Selfish people would have decided to fly with the story and say, okay, for the sake of finances that we are waiting for,
money, it's fine.
we need closure on this case. Close it, do whatever it takes. But with that hanging, finances hanging, they are saying, no, these are not the right people. They are saying, no, these are not the right people. That money can hold. Like. Yes, we need money. Yes, we want money as much as we can to assist Senzo's kids. But these are not the right people.
Well, SFISO is definitely not mincing his words. He's not conflicted. He's not speaking in codes like some of us. He's direct. And I happen to listen to people who are this direct. I happen to give them my ear and really analyze what they're saying. I'm not too quick to call people crazy. I'm not quick to disregard what people are saying.
Yeah.
I want to listen and I want to analyze for myself whether there's any basis to what he is saying. And so far, it's looking like SFISO has not been deceiving the court of public opinion.
No, he has been saying what he means. Right.
And also he says that he does not want Baloyi to be continuing.
I think that is
this
obvious.
case because he's working with Brigadier
I think that is
Kulinda.
obvious. That is obvious from my point of view. The way he's talking about them, I would expect him not to want them to proceed on this case.
And for those who may not have heard him speaking in Zulu, he said for these two people that are said to have confessed, one of them said they even pointed him with a gun, forcing him to confess.
That would then enforce that if they can find that person and bring him, that can really help the two accused, number one and number two, into solidifying their claims.
And he's also saying that Baloyi said that he didn't know anything about the docket 375. That was when Judge Chipiwa Maumela was the presiding officer.
No, Gininda said he did not know about the docket.
But then SFISO is saying Baloyi said that he also didn't know about 375. However, he stayed with it for more than 6 months. Those were some of the aspersions that Advocate Tefo was making initially about Advocate Baloyi, that he did know about 375, but Advocate Baloyi said he didn't know about it at the time, and he just got it recently before the court started. Do you guys remember that?
I do remember it.
And yeah, it's a lot going on, you guys, but we're keeping the Meyiwa family in all our prayers, and we hope that Babegezele just a little bit longer. The end, I feel, is coming, even though it may take a little bit of a while.
All right.
But at the end, kuzofika ekugcineni.
Now, we had analysts. It was a panel sort of a situation that was currently
on
happening.
Newsroom Africa.
Yes. So
let's talk about Mbegezeli, the
Mbegezeli,
practitioner.
the legal
The
practitioner.
one that initially, when I started following the case, I would listen to attentively. He had my attention on all media platforms you'd be invited in. He is honestly the reason why I began to have a different view of what was going on pertaining to this case, because he was a legal practitioner, and at the time he spoke sense, right? When he analyzed it in every, but today it was very interesting. I was like, when they asked him about what needs to be said to Senzo Meyiwa, who says that the people that are now standing trial, all 5 of them need to be released. This is what he answered. Mbegezeli said that he thinks the first one is the process that needs to be done by the prosecution to say, let us explain to you as the NPA where we are going with this matter. And I, in my opinion, feel like that's a little bit too late. It's a little bit too late. How does the NPA now go to the Meyiwa family and try to explain the plan of what they're trying to do when it doesn't look like they also know what they're trying to do? And then he's also said that we may not be explicit and play all our cards. They need to say this to the family, that they may not be explicit and play all their cards, because the most important part or terrain in which they need to go to is to fight is in the court itself. And the presiding officer, they need to convince the presiding officer and not the court of public opinion. Public opinions will always also differ based on various factors and not the factors that are going to be considered by the court. So he's literally saying that the court of public opinion is the reason why SFISO is making these claims that he is making. And I feel, in my opinion, he's undermining SFISO's intelligence. That's my opinion. Is how I feel about it, that SFISO is making these claims because of what he's experienced and what he investigated on his own, the information that he's found out. He's letting the public opinion know of these other facts, and you are making it seem like all these aspersions
he's just fishing it from the public
are
opinion.
coming from the public. You understand? It's like an opposite, a reverse psychology.
And where he lost me, where he really lost me, when he said the process is such that if the states feels that this is the first part where they need to win this so that they can bring the others. Can you imagine a situation where a mastermind is brought after the case, after the shooters have been brought into law and they've been arrested, and they're serving their sentences? Then, on the basis of that, you bring the mastermind. So it sounds to me like an excuse that he's perpetuating here by saying, yeah, they are still investigating. So he's buying into what Gininde is saying, that he did submit, and then Baloyi on the other side saying they told Gininde to go and investigate any further. In fact, Gininde said that. So he's buying into that at some point Kelly will be arrested. and the importance of this public media when they do such and bring people, more so this Newsroom Africa, that we have been questioning some of the journalists that are sitting in that court. You know, there's always a reason when they do these things. And I mean, I'm not going to say much, but it sounds to me like we are saying, okay, what is currently happening is fine. Let the wheels of the law.
The wheels of justice.
Justice.
The wheels of law. The wheels of justice turn. They are turning.
Yeah, they are turning. That's what they are saying. He's even saying this guy, Rata, is fast forwarding the case.
They're saying he's
okay, fine. It's okay.
It has moved in a speed.
It's okay.
We don't disagree.
I can say this again. Maumela. And there was even that insinuation to say that I was happy with that other analyst. I don't know who called them into order when they were in that very same channel. I think is a presenter who was insinuating that Maumela was removed because of this case.
Oh yes, it was the guy from Judges Matter. The guy from Judges Matter, I forgot his name, but yeah, he was making that correction that it's not because of this case, actually, it's because of other cases.
Yes.
That he was presiding
Maumela, I'm telling you, he was slow in dealing with things,
yes.
But there was a lot of thinking that would go through that. Fast forwarding with less thinking, you know? Yeah. This reminds me those people who just say, I'm going to apply the law as if this law is clean. I'm just going to apply.
Maumela was thinking.
Maumela infused a bit of humanity in it. That's what he was doing. And that's what makes a good judge. And that's what, that's what also I think people like Boshope were really, when they have to take a decision, they were relying on. They were relying on such things. They had Ubuntu infused into it.
Yeah.
We are in a situation now where we have to say, do not blame the judge, even if the judge said some of those things when Mngomezulu was alive. Do you understand? Where is Ubuntu when he was saying all those things?
There's no Ubuntu. It was not there. We were the only ones
making excuses.
Were crying. We were the only ones who were dragging him. We were the only ones who were showing concern. Nobody cared. No one cared about him now questioning the credentials of a doctor that Ngomezulu was going to be. Nobody was questioning that decorum in itself. It was highly unprofessional. It was not right.
And then the family now is supposed to accept the condolences from the very same person.
No, he can keep his condolences. It's fine because the time he had to show him Ubuntu when he was still alive.
Yes, he did not. Now when he's gone,
to portray him as a liar.
Now when he's gone and is being booed, now we'll talk about that. By the way, we are still going to, whether it's on the membership, we are still going to do that.
We need to address it.
We just didn't want to hop into it while it's still fresh. in a sense that, I mean, this is umngcwabo uyahlonishwa. But we will talk about some of the positives that we saw there and the negatives that we saw there.
It was insane. I was like, yo.
Right. Press that like button. Emily, anything to say?
No, nothing for now. I have nothing to say. I think I've wrapped up every thought that I had on this explosive information that SFISO Meyiwa was sharing over the Newsroom Africa. He was not mincing his words. And I feel like I'm revived to continue with the job that we've been doing, because after Mgomezulu's passing, I didn't know whether I was coming or going. I just felt so down, and I felt like maybe I should stop. You understand what I'm saying? But yes, guys, you've been encouraging us to continue, and I also feel fueled by SFISO Meyiwa remaining adamant as he is. He's strong in the Lord. He's continuing the fight. Why must we give up? You understand what I'm saying? We must continue analyzing that court for ourselves. And the media is saying they have explosive evidence. So we must continue. It's fine, we will.
Okay. I'm going to have, let's say, 10 minutes.
Okay, guys, you can now call in.
You can call.
Really
I'm going to give 10 minutes. That means let us share that 10 minutes.
I heard familiar voices as well.
I did hear some familiar voices.
I heard familiar voices and I was so proud.
I was so proud that
I was so proud. You guys are not mincing your words. You were not sounding confused. You were not sounding uncertain. You were spot on. I was so proud. I was like, this sounds like Mzansi Reality Family.
Yeah. Yeah, someone is saying, guys, you should watch how Rata conducted himself during Mdluli case. He wasn't funny. He was licking his lips like Chico Twala during the interview. It was clear. Bamba Mbise, a huge envelope, allegedly.
Everything is alleged. What we cannot prove,
so guys, if you are not
allege.
calling ulungile bafowethu until we see each other again. I mean, an early sleep before you go to work is always accepted. I mean, I still need to see myself home.
Yeah, and I also need to compile what we need to talk about this week. There's a lot to talk about, so I need to put it together in a way that guys will have like to talk for days to come. You understand?
Zanzi, hello.
Zanzi Reality, hi. Mr. Anonza.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm all right. Yes,
yeah. You're speaking to Bon from Cape Town.
Yes.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm happy. At least finally they gave SFISO Meyiwa the platform just to lift up the spirit, man.
Yeah.
After the passing of the beast.
Yes.
I was very happy to hear from him. No, man, I like SFISO Meyiwa's integrity, man. I like SFISO Meyiwa's integrity. The guy has some judges can learn something from that guy. His integrity there is second to none, man.
Yes.
If you remember his first interview at the start of this case, he asked a critical question. He said, all the witnesses who were in the house are describing the revolver, 38 special. How are these guys going to change those statements? Because even if you say they are not sure, but based on what they are describing, someone who knows guns will easily reach the conclusion, no, these guys are describing revolver. Now we have a 9mm. Even the lead investigator, one of his statements is mentioning the revolver. He's trained with firearms. He's a police officer. Okay, so when he's been saying those people are not expert, they are not trained, they don't have a firearm license. He has a firearm license, but one of his statements is mentioning revolver.
What is
and if you remember, exactly. If you remember, SFISO Meyiwa's first interview with Spamandla Koke earlier during the start of this trial, the guy said, how are they going to change those statements? Because all the eyewitnesses are mentioning, describing the revolver. And the other strange thing about this case, what the state have been calling the people who ran away immediately the first shot was fired. The real eyewitnesses who were there saw everything, what happened after Senzo was shot. Because Tumelo, Mthokozisi, Zandi, abazi ukuthi yephi ibullet yacana uSenzo. Abantu abazi ibullet yacana uSenzo ba yesingabi ngephi, uKheli noma Makhe, ngaba bangabizwayo. It's another strange part about this case, man. As bawashotwa ibullet yesinga, wawa kaso, then you suspect yathatha ifone estandini yenza loo nto yayenza ngaba wabona yonke laa nto. Now lalo siyibaliselwa nguzandi of which is become ESA. Ngabe siyibaliselwa ngumakazandi uba omnye uthe kegqiba umchanga ngebhuleti yesibini or yesithathu wayowela endaweni eso wajikela estandini. It's very strange, man. And as I told you, the guy who I said I've been talking to, he's been vindicated today. If you hear SFISO Meyiwa, he said Balo is also, he knows everything that Kininda is doing. If you remember last week when I was talking about the Bloemfontein, the guy said, according to his opinion, Balo is conflicted because if you analyze this case, it's no longer about Senzo. It's the people defending that decision they took about this case. How do you go with this docket and leave this one out? So one would conclude that Balo is also defending that decision. Why this docket was ignored. And meaning that docket was collecting the dust in his office. Eventually he decided to go with 636. It's another thing, according to law with the integrity. The guys are there to defend their decision. There is nothing about Senzo in this case. And also there is other cousin of Senzo, the guy with the name Mia. I just forgot his name.
Yes.
If you listen to SFISO, you listen to that guy. They've been consistent. Go check their interviews from 2017.
Yeah.
They've been consistent. What SFISO Meyiwa said today, he has been saying it for the past 5 years. I've been checking some podcasts. Although that guy, there is a clip of that guy from Kakasi FM. You will find it here on YouTube. The guy has been consistent.
Yeah.
They've been a problem. Our justice is for sale, man.
Yeah.
It's for sale. Now we have to sit back and think how many people are lying in jail for the crimes they didn't commit. You see, what my cousin told me today is very painful, bruh. But every time when we have a conversation about this case, he said there are people who are in jail, not because they committed a crime. Some, they were wrongly convicted, but they don't have money to litigate. As I said last week, because when you go to Bloemfontein, you have to pay to get some records, court proceedings, verification, transport some of these witnesses for those judges if they have some further questions. All that thing you must pay from your pocket. The state is not helping. Now we are dealing with a very evil system when it comes to law. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Bongs.
And for also sharing that piece of information.
Thank you.
Now justice is very frustrating. If you have anyone who's in that field, just...
If we have anyone in that field, just...
Nzansi, hello.
Hi, Nzansi Reality, good morning.
Morning, how are you?
I'm all right, thanks. Thanks for taking my call and thanks for setting up a live on a holiday.
Yes.
We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Nah, thanks. What I was going to say is, Mr. Anu, last week chips were down, but SFISO Meyiwa gave us more energy.
Yes.
I was also feeling like giving up. I actually thought the passing of Mr. Ngomezulu was the last last time for me, but we keep on pushing.
Yeah.
I followed the funeral. It was really touching at the funeral. There was a lot of things that were happening there, the good and the bad, but it was a really touching funeral. Going back to the case, I just want to re-emphasize, you did touch the issues that we are facing in this case. Mate, now, not that I'm rehashing things, but the phone call, the alleged phone call between accused 5 and KHUMALO, if that data was coming from WhatsApp or BDM or whatever that they're saying it supports the internet call, it was better, man. I want you, Mr. Arnold, to go to your phone and click on your calls and tell me if you can see your calls from WhatsApp on your call data. You can't. That's the point I'm trying to say is, you see the data that is coming from calls, the download of the phone. There is no way the phone download can tell you that this call is from WhatsApp. No way. Unless you go to WhatsApp and WhatsApp gives you all the phone calls. WhatsApp is the only place that can give you a phone call, or BDM is the only place that can give you a phone call that was made via data. Because on the network side, it will just show that you are using data. It doesn't say whether you are downloading a YouTube or watching YouTube or you are making a phone. It just shows that there is internet usage. But the phone call, it has to come from the company that runs the platform. That's it.
Very good
and
point.
Then I don't even want to venture into the gun that we are using. A gun that comes on an open bag, and then the judge laughs and accepts it. And I know you, Mr. Arno, you are worried about the DNA 2% inconclusive, that the judge made it 2% conclusive. That does not worry me. He can write his own judgment. I have got my own mind. That actually tells me that on the DNA, it's excluded based on the evidence that was done. Because even if you twist it and go with it, we'll still go back to the person, to the specialist guy who testified about the DNA, who said it's excluded. Because on DNA you don't put 5% or 2%, whatever. It's correctly you pointed out, included, excluded, or inclusive. Inconclusive is really you cannot determine. But in that case, they were able to determine. Because what surprises me is they exclude everyone who was in the house. But when it comes to accused 4, they said, there's 4 regions. 4 regions means nothing, man. It's 0. You need to have all of the regions, not just 4, for you to include it. So in this whole case, let's just persevere and see where we end up. But you can clearly see these guys who are on the dock, unless if you have got a different mindset, you can see it's not these ones. And when SFISO says there were 2 other guys who pointed a gun to do a confession, it makes me believe that the 2 guys who made the confession, they were really under threat. That's why they end up doing that confession. Because if you're facing a matter of life and death, man, you end up just doing it, man.
Yes.
Otherwise you die. So, but I hope we'll be able to continue. Let's keep our energies. 2025 is a new year. You guys are on holiday, so you have a great Christmas break, and let's keep on doing 1 or 2 things on the live. Come and give us some content during the break. We would appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll do so. We'll try.
Okay, we'll try our best. Thank you so much.
The very important point that is made here, perhaps you might have missed it, is saying, even if you download the phone, downloads, you cannot pick up an app call, because that call can only be picked up on that app.
App itself, yes.
Very important. True. In their submission, the defense, they should always include that. Mzansi, hello.
Good morning, my lovies.
Morning.
Yes,
good
morning.
To see you.
Yes.
It's good to see you, that you are back after we've had a very horrible week, all of us.
Yes.
Very horrible. Very horrible.
It was tough.
Yeah. At least we are still in the fight. You guys are holding the line. So that's really good. So we're not giving up, and we are trying to move forward.
Yeah.
So yeah, they laid the king of the jungle, he will rest, and hopefully the family will start picking up the pieces and trying to move ahead. I've listened to, there's a one of the subscribers on the chat mentioned something about the law doing something, and I don't know, something about being the one who, I think, about proving your case or something like that.
Yes.
The one who wins is the one who. He's right, but to be able to prove your case, you need to have money.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Because even if the evidence is glaring, glaring in your face, and it's just there that it is obvious that you didn't do something. The one who has money is the one who will be able to prove their case. If you don't have money, you're just a poor person, they pin a crime on you. You won't be able to win because you don't have money. Because we've just seen through this case that to be able to prove your case, it requires money. You need to get your ballistic expert. How much does it cost? More than 50,000. You need to get your own DNA expert. It can cost up to anything up to 100,000. Do you know what I mean? Like it costs so much money to bring somebody to stand there and prove your case. Do you know what I mean? That is why people like me are very passionate about social justice and will even offer their services for free to help people, because we understand what is involved. If you don't have money, you're doomed. And it's sad because the very people who are actually accusing you of a crime, who are putting you on the stand and say you are the person who did this, they are the very people that, if you are poor, that you go to with your hand and beg for them to defend you. How weird! The government, the government is saying, the state is saying, you did this, but then you go to them and say, oh well, then help me prove my case, defend me. So the person who's like your accuser, you are going to your accuser for them to defend you. So because that's the thing with the state and legal aid, is the same thing. And they showed us that you don't even have power, you don't even have say, because they can actually dictate the terms of your defense and say, oh, okay, we prefer for you to be defended by these people. You don't even have a choice because you are poor. So that's a sad thing, right? And I've listened to a lot of SFISO's interviews. SFISO is very consistent.
Yes.
He's not wavering. He says the same thing all the time. He doesn't even change anything. He doesn't change nothing. Because he does, and this guy, when he talks, he's just flowing. Because when you are telling the truth, you don't even have to think about what you want to say. Do you understand? And he confirmed a few things that, I will say allegedly, but at the end of the day, Gininda said it in the courtroom that he was being given instructions by the prosecutor. But he was telling him what to do, who to talk to, who not to talk to, and things like that. And SFISO is saying it. He's saying these people work together. So he's confirming a lot of the things that are unfolding before our eyes. And the mere fact that you guys are mentioning that they haven't even gotten any money from the insurances. If these people, this man has integrity. And to him, integrity is non-negotiable. Because if they just wanted to move on and they wanted money and stuff like that, they wouldn't care who's on the stand. But he's got nothing to gain. But he is speaking up and saying, you know what, these guys are not the right people. What does he have to gain by defending those people? We know that some of those people, they don't have a good track record. But he's still able to put his head on the chopping block and say, you know what, these are not the right people. My family is suffering. We want closure, but we want it to be done the right way. We want the right people to be held accountable for my brother's passing. But these guys on the stand, these guys in the dock are not the right people. He's got absolutely nothing to gain by defending these guys, but he's still doing it. That shows integrity. You know what I mean? And it's so sad because in court they use the Bible. They put their hand on the Bible, and as soon as they remove their hand on the Bible, they're telling us lies. But then the very Bible that they're using in the courtroom says you cannot serve two gods or two masters or whatever. There's only one God. But then lawyers are calling a judge my lord. So where does the Bible fit into this entire thing? You know what is happening in South Africa is very sad. Especially this case is exposing a lot of stuff. And it's sad because the taxpayer is the one who's funding this trial. I'm curious. I would be curious as a taxpayer to know how much each lawyer is charging for every day that they're in court. How much is it costing me as a taxpayer to pay each of those individuals who are being paid by legal aid? And then I would be also interested to know how much is Judge Rata getting paid per day for him to be there? Do you understand?
Yeah.
And then I will then decide whether this trial, because we can all see that there's nothing here. This is just a hogwash of a trial, right? There's absolutely nothing here. This thing should have been struck off the roll a long time ago. Then I will then make up my mind as a taxpayer as to why this guy is dragging this thing. Because Makwa, they always say, follow the money and you will know the rest of the story. Follow the money, then you will know what is going on. So I would be interested as a taxpayer to know how much is it costing me to keep this trial going? How much is each individual getting paid? How much is it costing me as a taxpayer to transport these guys from all these different correctional facilities every day? The security that is involved, each person who is guarding them, everything, how much is it costing them? Those guns that they have, everything, because the taxpayer is paying for everything. The petrol, everything. How much is it costing me as a taxpayer? And they say, you will know how a government feels about its people by the way it treats them. The South African government hates us. They hate us so much. And we put them in power. They are there because we have entrusted them with our power. We've given it to them to say, lead us, make decisions on our behalf about our money, about our lives, about everything. And this is how they treat us. They basically pay us evil for the good that we've done for them. Because we've given them salaries, we are paying them, us electing them, and for them sitting up there, we are paying them. We're actually giving them salaries to feed their families and stuff like that, because we put them there. But they're paying us evil for the good that we did for them. I'm sorry I'm taking too long, but there's a caller that called, I think earlier this year sometime. He's in Cape Town, that man. Sometimes I go back and I just listen to old live videos. And there was a guy who said that he spent 7 years in prison for a crime that he did not commit.
Yes.
I will never forget that man. And he said his dad succumbed to depression and heartbreak and lost his life because of him being in prison. And I think he said he's the only son or something like that.
I remember him.
So imagine if that man came onto this podcast and told us that he spent 7 years in prison and he said he lost everything, he had to start all over again. He had lost his father, he had nothing, just because he was put in prison for a crime that he did not commit. Imagine how many people right now are rotting in prison and they have succumbed to the fate that they were given because they don't have money to fight for appeals. They are forgotten. They are sitting in jail. They've succumbed to what the devil that they've been dealt, or the curse that they've been dealt, and it's their life. They are sitting there, they're doing life imprisonment for a crime they did not commit. Generations are going to be affected. Their children are not going to have fathers or anything like that because they're sitting in prison for crimes they did not commit. All because prosecutors and judges and whatever, or police or whatever, to them it's a game. It's an individual thing. What can I gain from getting a few paychecks or whatever? You know what I mean? And right now, this case is not about justice. Right now, everybody, it's a sport. The prosecutor wants to win because he's never lost, apparently. He's never lost a case. He still wants to. You know what I mean? He still wants to be the winner at the end of the day. And, people have been compromised one way or the other. We can see that there were irregularities in some instances, and now people are trying to defend and protect their careers. It's no longer about justice. It's very sad, but this is very sad. We can just keep staying in the fight, just keep showing up, and just hoping that, God will raise another warrior to step into Ngomezulu's shoes. Ngomezulu's shoes were really big. But, God will raise someone else. We hope somebody else will come who will, do a good job, and, we will see what happens. But we can't give up now.
Definitely.
I love you guys. You take care. We will speak soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Hey?
You know what?
Wow.
Just in closing, when we are called to analyze on television, are you paid?
Yes.
Now, I'm answered. I'm answered because, at some point it does seem like some people are really, when they are there singing for their supper. It does feel like that. That's where I would leave it. I would leave that like that, and I would say anything further. Mamfunega, thank you very much. Puti, thank you. Dipuo, thank you. Chuku Anna, thank you. You were present. Mulido, thank you. You were present. Nolukanyo, you were present. Zoto Adlamini, you were present. Mo Mahampa, you were present. Lusanda Msila, you were present. Zodo Dlamini, you were present. Leshle, you were present. Bulawan Financial Consultant, you were present. SFISO 18, you were present.
Content lab.
Yes. It's very good to see bag. Masego, you were present. Nalikama Abisai. Yes, you were present. John Zibanjwa, you were present. Backyard Mechanic, you were present. Charity Mbonambi, you were present. I'm trying not to leave anyone who really was present during the whole day. Diane Mbinga, you were present. Elizabeth Makeling, you were present. Mr. P, you were present. Blessing Mabena, our member, you were present. Siponengu, you were present. And Togozo Mbele, you were present. Mtogozisi Lutuli, you were present. Our member also, Togozo Mbele. And Dibua. Thank you guys for really supporting us to that extent.
Thank you so much, guys.
We appreciate it. Joe Munare, you are present. We appreciate you. Vladimir Bungane, you are present.
Vladimir.
MT Darwin, you are present.
Vlad.
Vuzutando Makobani, you are present. Emma Masego, I think I've mentioned you. Sekhamete, you are present. We appreciate you all the way from Botswana. Are you back in Africa? That's a question for another day. Dokas Shabalala. And I know you are not in Africa. In Africa, I mean. Momi Mo.
Botswana.
Yes. Hey. Momi Mo, present. Thank you. We appreciate you. In Jalindab, Nelson Nelly, you were present. We appreciate you. Ngabanguti injalo Jindaba. Please press that like button on your way out. Make sure that you press. Babes, thank you very much for being with us. Fuyu color. You will correct me. Thank you. Fugo.
I think so.
Yes. Nzonzi, thank you. You are present. And Jomani 83, you are present. And Kabanguti. Thank you very much. Okay. Tlanjiwe, we see you. Pedro Nkos, you are present. Charity Bonambi. And we see all of you guys, even if I didn't call you. Go figures cut.
Thank you guys for confirming. They do get paid, the professional analysts.
Yes. And injalo indaba siyabonga bafowethu siyayivala la.